We are ready to start.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Hi, Mr. Anonymous. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi Martin. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being in 21st Century Entrepreneurship podcast.
No, thank you. I'm very honored. I'm SM, and as you say, I am the anonymous author of the Invisible Book of Quantum Psychology, which in short is an ongoing and live project that I am releasing through different channels such as LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and even my own blog, while I get the book ready to be published. So basically, there is some real life experiences in it, and I explain and connect with the principles and implications of quantum psychology, and mix with some scientific and esoteric concepts. Okay, but above all, what I'm trying to say is to write a book that is a story about time, space, and through interpersonal connections, and how those three concepts that we experience and often take for granted can actually be deceiving to us, even when our true reality lies right in front of us.
Okay, so basically that's why you decided to write it anonymously, and if I understood you well, and that's what basically quantum psychology is, or I suppose there is more. So what is quantum psychology?
Yeah, of course. Put in short, quantum psychology is a part of our consciousness, or what I call the quantum self, that is connected and ruled by quantum physics laws and principles. Okay, and differently to the macroscopic physics laws that we know and experience and interact with in the real world. In the quantum reality, time and space don't happen linearly and 1 second at a time, but they actually are deceiving and flexible, and actually influenced by the conscious observer, by us. So basically, atoms actually behave differently depending if we look at them or not, and depending in the connection they make between them, etc. In case someone that is listening is not familiar with the principles of quantum physics, I would totally recommend to read something about it. There's plenty of videos on YouTube as well, with some of the most famous experiments that I don't know about you, but they totally blew my mind when I discovered them many years ago. And coming back to why I'm writing this anonymously as well, it's mainly for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
First, because I decided to do this. I'm telling a story that is a personal story, that is some of the aspects are based on real things, and that could apply to anyone. Okay, and alongside with this novelistic approach, there is also, as I say, the scientific approach, there is the esoteric one, and that where through I try to channel and explain what quantum psychology is, etc., and how we can benefit from it. And then there is also a parallel fable talking about our dark side as beings. So I decided in one hand to do it anonymously because I think it can apply to everyone. It's not, my name wasn't needed, there wasn't a main character needed, because I think it's something everyone can relate to. And on the other hand, obviously, because there is a part of my intimacy and vulnerability attached to it, I needed to protect myself at this stage until I get the publishable version at least.
I absolutely understand you. So basically, there are some implications of quantum psychology on our personal level and business level, I suppose. And how does it affect us?
Quantum psychology to me implies that there is a part of our consciousness or nature that influencing our decision-making process, on our daily decision-making process, and even in the way the world is revealed to us. And this part of ourselves is not so easy to gain awareness of as it will be by just using our normal senses or memory or expectations or cognitive system, etc. And I think that in order to make the best decision possible, whether if it's in a personal or professional sites, you need to train and you need to be in touch with this part of your consciousness that ultimately will empower you, basically. Because as I mentioned before, the rules and laws at this level of reality, in the quantum level, are different, are more flexible, and are not attached to some of the limitations that our biological or social laws are. Therefore, if you want to make the most of a situation and expand your own limits, you need to have all the tools within your reach to fulfill this potential, the potential that we all have. And I think that your quantum self is a basic and crucial ingredient to do so. That is being partially explained and covered from different perspectives, like biocentrism, Reiki, meditation, some odd experiments as well out there that are difficult to explain from a classical perspective. But this potential has never been fully explored. And so to me, quantum psychology is not so much about giving you a definite and inflexible answer, but totally the opposite. It's about giving you the right level of awareness that will allow you to raise the right questions for yourself and will enable you to find your own answers that will apply only to you, whether if it's in personal or professional life.
It's a very interesting, deep, and complex topic, definitely. So how did you come up with the idea of quantum psychology in the first place?
I mean, this has been something for me many years in the making, we could say. I have always been a very curious person and a rebel, not taking just for granted everything that was given to me, but I always like to question everything. And through my undergraduate in psychology, through my master's degree as well in research, there was some reading through Throne's theories, thinking about some mysteries. It was always raising my curiosity, and I always felt something about the way we perceive reality that doesn't fully fit if we only take what we perceive from our biological self. Okay. So there is something about the way we interact with the world and reality, how it's showing to us, something that connects us with ourselves and with everything and everyone else around us that doesn't add up to me. And slowly using this holistic approach, reading about this and that, I tried to put together the riddle and find my own answers for it. Using some concepts, changing some names for that people name other ways maybe. And then the idea for me to start writing this book came in a moment of clarity or an epiphany that I experienced. It was one of these moments that you experience only a handful of times during your lifespan, when we have to be brave enough to follow, because you understand straight away that it's something that is going to change your life. And it was then when I decided to start writing all those ideas, to throw them in a Word document, and slowly but surely start to share this on life, this life and ongoing project, as I say, and just pull the lead, see where it takes us. Proposing my plausible explanations to bigger riddles than us, like cognitive disorders, the origin and meaning of life, the what can you expect and experience after death, or the origin of the universe. So many things that start from the little things that we live day by day, and that can lead to a much bigger purpose.
A lot of our audience are entrepreneurs, so if we can speak a little bit about why is it relevant for entrepreneurs out there?
Well, something I would like to address and fully clarify straight away is that the Invisible Book of Quantum Psychology is not a self-help book. It's not something where you are going to find definitely answers, or I'm going to be able to reveal you ultimate enlightenment somehow. It's quite the opposite. However, what I'm claiming through the implications that come from increasing our awareness about our quantum self is that you will gain a higher control over your life. And I'm talking even on events that seem to escape your control. Meaning that sometimes you may not be in the driving wheel of a situation, but you are always and still in charge of how that situation is going to affect you or how you are going to react to it. This ultimately means that the power is inherited in each one of us to overcome the bumps and problems that you will face in your business and in your goal, pursuing your goal. And in order to use all that power, you need to train your awareness on all your senses and consciousness, not just the ones that you experience easily, but also quantum psychology is a very important part of that. As other ways is like going on a fight to pursue this ultimate goal that you may have, whichever it is, but with one hand tying at your back, and then you are in disadvantage even before starting.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very important topic. One of our last guests, she was talking about suicides that entrepreneurs do from time to time because they cannot cope with themselves, they cannot cope with the situation. And my personal opinion is, I mean, I completely agree with you. Without the basic knowledge regarding awareness, acceptance, and everything that you are talking about, quantum physics, quantum psychology, sometimes it's really very, very hard to cope with all that universal mind or God or whatever we want to call it brings to us. So let's go a little bit even deeper and maybe share some business example.
Well, I think in life in general and business in particular, every time we set ourselves a goal, I think everyone has experienced it. More often than not, things are not going to fall nicely and all in place straight away. But you're going to be facing unexpected challenges and setbacks that you didn't anticipate. And to be honest with you, I think being successful, and anyone that has been successful and done great things in the past, is never about walking a straight and easy line, but it's mostly about how resilient and how you cope when the difficult times comes, how you can keep that conviction on yourself, on your goal, to continue to just don't give up, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else in the whole world. Because you need to be a bit crazy to achieve something that is greater than average, to be honest. And and you can be defeated over and over. You can have setbacks. You can feel down, etc. But remember, you will only need to win once to achieve that goal that you're pursuing. And nothing that is great and truly worth in this life will come easily to you. About reason and reality, you need to connect and listen with your gut feeling, with whatever your instinct is telling you that you should do, and have that sense of determination to not give up, no matter the consequences. Because to reach that instinctive decision that you have reached, there is a part of your consciousness, your quantum self, that transcends the biological limitations that we know, that also had an impact and weight into driving you towards your goal, driving you towards your decision. So I think that's why you shouldn't give up.
So experience, I suppose, you need to have a lot of energy to go through all those different obstacles, life phases. If we speak in a linear way of thinking, so what is the energy in terms of quantum psychology, if there is such term?
No, absolutely. And energy obviously is key in anything that we do in life, having the right mindset, having the right energy before we start. I'm from the perspective I have about quantum psychology. To me, energy is an existential duality, okay? Because in one hand, there is this basic ingredient that we have for life, for any type of life. It's what makes us being alive, conscious, and different from an object, okay? And this ingredient or force that enables life is the same in every single living being in the universe, okay? Not just the ones on Earth, but every other living form that can be out there. Therefore, it's a source of energy that we all share, that we are all connected with. It's where we all come from and probably where we all go to. And it's through that shared source of energy how we can establish meaningful interpersonal connections. Because then, on the other hand, there is a unique way in each one of us of experiencing and working around that basic energy that we have. Okay, and it's what it makes all of us different, of course. And it is through that individuality how we can transcend afterlife, based on the nature and intensity of what we have done with those connections that we make with everyone around us and with the world around us. And it is only when we are aware of this duality that is in our nature as beings, accepting that a basic and we could say intrinsic part of ourselves is connected with the quantum reality, when we can really thrive beyond the limitation of our biological or social reality. And it's there where the most meaningful experience that you will have in your life will happen as well.
And part of that reality is something that we call time. So can you define time in terms of quantum psychology? Is there a time? What is the time?
I find the concepts of time and space very deceiving, as I said before, even from a basic biological perspective. I'm not even talking going into the quantum plane, because even those concepts that, seem to be very easily measurable, very objective, and we live around them all the time. We just articulate our life around them, can be very deceiving from a psychological perspective, even in the macroscopic world. Because, for example, we all now have experience on a daily basis that time doesn't happen 1 second after another from a psychological perspective. Meaning that sometimes 1 hour seems to pass very slowly, but another times that same time frame seems to be very fast, seems to have gone before you can even notice. And the same things happen with the space, something very similar, because sometimes you can feel far, far away from someone who is sitting right next to you, but then at the same time, you can feel very close with no distance in between with someone that you are connected with, even if you didn't see that person for quite a while. And in both cases, if you notice, the deceiving, what makes time and space deceiving is that there is a true and meaningful interpersonal connection in between, that there is something that is happening that is affecting our consciousness, and through that changes of consciousness is even changing the concept and perception that we have about time and space. Okay, because to be honest, everything that is important, truly important and worth living, is based on your gut feelings, sensations, raw emotions that some people or situation will evoke in you. It's on those things that you cannot easily or accurate explain with words or write down, because they are very unique and personal in the way that you experience it and only share with that other person that you are sharing them with. But at the same time, it's something so inherited in our nature, because it's the basic mechanism inside of every living thing, that it doesn't even need explanation, really, because we all can relate to that and we all understand what we are talking about, even if we didn't experience in our own flesh.
Subscribe to us as you leave a positive review on iTunes.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Your words, your sentences, the way you present the topic is so powerful that I would ask you if you can even more help people listening. How can quantum psychology help people listening to our podcast?
Well, what I will say to everyone out there struggling and doubting about which way to go when facing an important business or personal decision in life is that they should follow their instincts or what they believe is right above everything else. Because once you are ready to make and accept that decision, the most important opinion and the only one you should take into real consideration is your own. Because even if it's true that you will always have doubts and pros and cons, it is also true that the journey is never going to be easy and a straight line. And if a part of you inside have already decided what's the right course of action, then you need to follow that path all the way through without hesitation. Just draw a plan, get yourself ready to endeavor pain and bumps in the road, and go for it. Mostly because there are mechanisms in your consciousness and subconsciousness that you may not be aware of, but that have had an impact in you into making that decision, those factors within your quantum self that interact with the quantum reality. It may be scary, challenging, crazy, extremely difficult, but to be honest, everything great in life will always be. And well, as a very good, a very important person in my life says, great things never come from comfort zones. So allow yourself to be scared, to feel down at times, even to experience defeat and frustration. Because as long as your heart is in the right place and you follow it, everything will be okay. Maybe you will not reach your real goal straight away, but it's always better to regret doing something, following your instinct and learning from that experience, than regret not risking and be wondering all your life what would have happened if you have been brave enough. Because even if you get somewhere completely different than you anticipated, wherever you get, you will still be where you are supposed to be.
What's the future of the ongoing project or the ending of the book?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, also, I have more or less a clear idea of how I want to finish the book and the message that I want to say through it. This is a life, an ongoing project, and I'm discovering as well and coming with ideas as I go, improvising sometimes as well. This is being released as a diary with the date. So therefore, we have to discover together where it takes us and how it ends. Because to be honest, I wanted to do it this way because I think it's impossible to explain what quantum psychology is and what implies to many aspects of our lives without that story of true interpersonal connection, of self-conviction associated to it, a strong story that everyone can relate to, and how ultimately there is always a price to pay for following that gut feeling. But the price is never too high compared to what you get in return. And I think where the story is leading, I think is a very good example of it. So also the final version of the book will be published toward the end of the year. I would like to invite anyone that is curious enough, or if you are looking to challenge your own perception of reality and the way our mind and spirit works, to join us on this journey and see where it takes us. To be honest, now, as I say, it's all the main social media channels and my personal blog. All you need to do is just type The Invisible Book of Quantum Psychology. And I'm also always interacting with people there that send me messages, that email me, exchanging opinions, debating what the things they agree with, the things they don't agree with, and even talking about their real life situation. So unlike normal books, this is an interactive two-way communication that I'm having with people all around the world. So anyone who wants to become a part of this journey is more than welcome.
Thank you very much for sending so powerful vibrations of emotions, transformations, everything you bring to this episode. Wish you all the best with the book and keep in touch and talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Martin, again for inviting me to your channel. You are doing a great work. And yeah, we will be in touch, definitely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes.